Okay, welcome back to the March episode of the Wisconsin Motor Carriers Association podcast, The Road Ahead. I'm Dan Johnson, president of the Wisconsin Motor Carriers Association, and we have a very special episode this time around. For March, we spent some time at the President's Safe Drivers Club luncheon and the Wisconsin Safety Banquet talking to drivers and listening to them and asking them how their experience is as a driver in the Safe Drivers Club, both new members to the club and our legacy drivers into the President's Safe Drivers Club. So it was a very unique opportunity to talk with them. And we also had a very special guest, Wisconsin DOT Secretary Kristina Boardman, sat down with us and talked about some of the things that the department is doing in regards to safety and keeping us all safe out there. So we're going to jump into that episode. But before we do, this episode of The Road Ahead is sponsored by E.H. Wolf & Sons. If you run trucks, you already know fuel isn't just a line item, it's your lifeline. That's where E.H. Wolf & Sons comes in. They're a family-owned fuel supplier serving trucking fleets across Wisconsin and the Midwest. From bulk fuel delivery and fleet fueling to lubricants and DEF, E.H. Wolf & Sons is known for dependable service, on-time delivery, and people who understand the trucking business. Learn more at ehwolf.com. Okay, we are going to jump into the March episode of The Road Ahead, and thank you for joining us.
Hello, today we're here celebrating the President's Safe Driver Club from Wisconsin Motor Carriers Association and what it takes and what it means for the drivers to be in that elite club. Today we have Krik Phillips, one of our legacy drivers, which means he's been accident-free, incident-free, not even a seatbelt violation in his own vehicle. It says 28 years here, but they have to be 3 years first before they get in for the first year. And if I know Krik, he was probably safe long before that. So good morning, Krik. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into trucking, when you got into trucking, and all your good things?
Okay. Well, I started out as a mechanic, got laid off. Needed to work and applied out at Johnsonville. Fortunately, within a day or so of me being hired, the gentleman, Gary Locke, that was in charge of Johnsonville Trucking, knew me and asked me to help out. And then from there, helping out, they found out I knew how to drive. And from there, I started driving, worked locals on what they called permanent part-time for 5 years, then went over the road until now. So it's altogether, it's been 44 years with the same company.
All with Johnsonville.
Correct.
Wow, that is fabulous. And so of all those years, even before we started, because we started the President's Safe Driver Club 28 years ago. So you are one of the original, like the OG. So what does the President's Safe Driver Club mean to you and getting that award every year?
It means a lot. To go a year accident and ticket free is hard. What the criteria for it is dovetails with Johnsonville's safety program. And over the years, I've gotten to know everybody, yourself and other members. And so it's become very important to me. Also, if I'm not eligible for this, I'm not eligible to do the truck driving championship and those things like this that I just absolutely enjoy, even though I put a lot of stress on myself for it because I want to do well.
So when you're out there on the road and you have a lot of anxious four-wheelers, what advice can you give to some of the other drivers to try to achieve the accomplishment that you have, Krik?
Well, the biggest thing is relax. You're more important, and your safety is more important than whatever load you're hauling. Give the space, read the road, the conditions. You know, there's so many different things a driver has to do in a split second to decide. And some of the biggest things he can do is try and slow it down in his mind and on the road. Give that extra space. It's going to make a difference if you have somebody decide to pull in front of you and then slam the brakes on. you're already in that mode. You know what to expect. It's the biggest thing is just keeping it safe. For the do your normal safety things that you do every day the way you were taught.
So I'm guessing as we get in there, your pre-trip is pretty important to you, and your post-trip probably, and although
Correct.
obviously you've done everything. Tell us what the typical day is for you.
Typical day. First day outbound, you come in, you find your assigned, you get your tractor loaded with your things for the week, pre-trip the tractor for the first time, then go find your trailer, hook to it, make all the connections and check your lights, do your pre-trip on your trailer, check, load, make sure your load's secure. With that, we're fortunate we're allowed to break the seal and make sure the load is right and secure it, and then re-seal it. And then once that's all done, then it's the paperwork, making sure you have the right paperwork. And I kind of went out of order. The first thing you're supposed to do is log into your ELD.
Perfect. We got that.
Sorry about that. I plead the fifth on what order I put that in. But I know it's supposed to be first, so and it is. The system we have, we pretty much have to, or it tells on us to our safety person, and she has to have a talk with us. So once we get the paperwork, everything ready to go, that's when you get, everything's fueled, the reefer, temps are everything that you set. Then you're finally ready to, restart the tractor and get ready to actually leave from your leave. For us, we leave from the yard. We go down to to a distribution center. We get there, check in, swap trailers for our load outbound from there. So you do 2 more pre-trips and all your appropriate entries on your ELD. And once you've gone through your paperwork and everything, you're ready to leave there, then you can start your outbound route. And then from there, it's just driving up and down the road.
What is the most difficult challenge that you find when you're out for your day?
Just, it's at the end of the day, trying to find a place to park. You want to really be honest.
Yeah,
it's
we totally
always a
understand
challenge, and you have to. There's times when because the route, you end up having to shut down early just so to make sure you got a place to park, a safe place to park.
We're working on that very hard with our state partners and federal partners. We totally recognize that you guys all need a place to be comfortable and relax and feel safe. So it's going to take a little bit, but we're working on getting more spaces. We're working, like I said, with our state, federal, everybody, just trying to make that better for you drivers.
I've seen that the new parking spots at going over to La Crosse at the rest area there, and just the size of the parking lots at the scale houses. There's room there. You can park, if you need to overnight. And a lot of people avoid that, but I don't know why, because I have no problem. They don't bother you. I mean, I've never had them bother me ever in all the years I parked there a lot.
You're one of the smart ones, Kirk, because there are a lot of open spots there. And whenever we do our SWEF visits or we talk to our DOT partners, they say, park there, park overnight. There's open spots there for a purpose. And those inspectors are taught never to go out and bother the driver or wake them up, or even if they come around, they're not going to inspect them. I guess unless they see a big puddle of some fluid underneath the truck or something like that. But no, anybody can stay there. They're not going to bother them. And it's a very safe, secure spot. They're open. So the restrooms are there. Some of them have some vendings, maybe not all the things that you need to have, but if you're looking for a safe place, you're absolutely right. You're one of the sharp ones that catches on to that, because they are not crowded, and I would think they should be.
I know the one on 94 coming from Illinois into Wisconsin. that one is people have wised up and are filling it up because the other parking spots, the other big one charges you to park, whether it's overnight or their premium parking spots. So that gets expensive.
So back to the President Safe Driver Club. I know that you've been, like I said, since the inception, 28 years. So that was 31 years. You have attended, probably since I've been here, you've attended every luncheon. And some of the companies and drivers don't go to the luncheons. And can you tell them what the experience is actually at that luncheon for you?
The experience, it's very positive towards the drivers. Everything is, the food is great. The people, the speakers, you meet such good people. The President Safe Drivers of Wisconsin Motor Carriers, GU, Page, federal agents, the state patrol officers, and everything, and the respect they give you as just a driver is the first couple times it's kind of surprising. Or I started coming to it, like you said, a long time ago. The first few years it wasn't that big important. It really wasn't that important. But as time went on, I realized how important it was, not only for me to go, but to show it to my fellow drivers where I work at to come to it. I had one guy that dragged his feet, and I finally got him to go to one. And afterwards, we're on our way home, and he's like, "Why didn't you tell me how great that was?" I said, "I have been." And the fact that he ran into drivers from other companies that he knew. And when you go to this, you're in company of the elite as far as drivers. These are all like-minded drivers, safety, and it just is so uplifting and positive. In an industry that is a lot of negative, this is one of those things you look forward to because it reestablishes how people think about you in the industry.
I think we did the math, and I don't know the exact number, but we have 1,500 drivers that were nominated, and the amount of drivers in the state who are drivers, that's less than 1% that meet the criteria and are eligible for this award. And anybody ask me why, it wasn't his fault. This accident wasn't his fault. The weather was bad. I'm like, well, if the weather was bad, maybe he should have pulled off the road. Sure, it wasn't his fault, but there are sometimes little things maybe you can do. And that's why we have it so elite, other than a deer strike that isn't your fault, or if you're parked legally and someone rear ends you, everything else disqualifies you, including speeding or your seatbelt in your own personal vehicle. So I'm telling you, Kirk, I wouldn't even be able to qualify. You are a very, very part of an elite group, and we are so proud to have you not only as one of our legacy drivers, but we were driver of the month a few years ago. You're in the Hall of Fame for the TCA. Was it No, which one was it, Kirk?
Private Truck Council.
Yeah, I got to think of the other initiative. Private Truck Council.
National Private Truck Council.
There you go. NTPC. There we go. I always forget all the letters.
I became cool with my great nieces and nephews because I'm on YouTube because of that. They recorded it.
Well, Kirk, we appreciate all you do to all you did, because now you're retired. So we appreciate all you did in all those years to keep our highways safe, mentor other drivers, and just you're an absolute pleasure for us every time we see you, and keep coming to volunteer at our truck driving championship. We're not going to let you get away that easily. And you're definitely welcome to come to any other luncheon on down the line.
Well, I will take you up on that because it's great to see the success of other drivers. The legacy drivers, like we had on Saturday, there were 5 of us. Yeah, I was the one with the highest number, but there was one a couple years behind me, and that speaks a lot that you have drivers that committed to be that safe all the time. And it's hard. It's in the car.
one of the other things that excites me is the number of first year.
Oh,
So
yes.
that means, and that means that they, obviously have gone 4 years, to be in there the first year, and they don't know what to expect. But when they see somebody up there with 28 years, you can see their eyes light up and like, wow, what do I have to do to get that? And part of it is you have to stay with the same company. If you leave that company, you have to start over. And I have drivers that actually call me and say, hey, I'm a member of the President's Safe Driver Club. If I go to this company, do they participate? And I tell them, well, yes, they participate, but you have to start over. And a lot of times that makes a difference. The driver stays at the company because he doesn't want to be out of the President's Safe Driver Club.
Well, it is that important to us. I know our Johnsonville celebrates it. I got a jacket or a shirt, and it says right on it what year for the President's Safe Drivers Club. And they do that. They celebrate it within the company that way, within our trucking company that way, at our safety awards banquet before we ever come to the celebration at the luncheon. And the fact that we have drivers that, not every year, but we have drivers that are driver of the month. The other drivers come and we support them and root for them because
That's
it's
important.
that important.
The camaraderie in the industry. I always say we're just one big family, and really, really we are. Everybody knows everybody from every company. It's a big family, but a small family too. And we appreciate everything that you do. Looking forward to seeing you some more, and appreciate all your time for making this podcast a success.
Well, thank you for asking me. I definitely enjoyed it. I was honored that you would think I was deserving to participate.
This episode of The Road Ahead is brought to you by WMCA Diamond Club member E.H. Wolf & Sons. When uptime matters, you need fuel you can count on. E.H. Wolf & Sons delivers bulk fuel, fleet fueling, lubricants, and DEF, backed by real trucking experience. For more information, visit ehwolf.com.
So we're here with Secretary of the DOT Secretary, Kristina Boardman. We were fortunate enough to have her attend now our last two President's Safe Driver Club luncheons and safety banquet. And first of all, we thank you for the support that the Transportation Department gives us every year, between the troopers and the inspectors and your office. Anything we've reached out to regarding anything, you've been so attentive, and we appreciate having an advocate in the state for us. Thank you, Secretary Boardman. I would like to ask you, just give us a little bit about your background and what being involved in these safety banquets and things mean to you.
So just if anyone doesn't know me, I've been at DOT since 2005. A lot of my time was in motor vehicles. And so I kind of understand the freight movement from the licensing perspective as well, because we would license all of the CDL drivers and work with the feds and FMCSA on that. But it was such a thrill to be at this event. I know how important freight movement is in Wisconsin, and the people that are doing that every day play such a significant role in the economy in Wisconsin. And the safe operation of those vehicles is so important. These are big vehicles that you're out with on the road, and I feel safe when I'm next to a truck because I know that they have extra training. This is their livelihood. They are taking extra precautions with what they do. But just having a night to celebrate all of those successes, some of the best, was truly a thrill.
Kristina, one of them was in our President's Safe Driver Club for 28 years. That means he went 31 years, because they had to be in there 3 years before, without an accident, an incident, even a seatbelt violation in his own personal vehicle. Can you imagine? First of all, I wouldn't qualify for it. Second of all, can you just even imagine being out there all those millions of miles and not having one incident or speeding ticket or accident, either preventable or non-preventable?
Yeah, I mean, safety has got to be top of mind all the time. And for people that live those values, years at a time like that, they should be celebrated, because we and I'm sure they see a lot out there on the roads. But knowing that they have that safety mindset and what they're contributing for the economy and moving things around that everyone depends on, that really deserves the accolades that you provide at Wisconsin Motor Carriers Association.
Secretary, speaking about what they encounter on the road, this year we honored 2 highway heroes that actually saved lives. Can you imagine that our drivers are just going up and down the road in their everyday life and pulling people out of trucks or pulling them up from an embankment or putting out a fire?
With no hesitation. It's like, this is what we do. Again, always safety in mind, not only for themselves, but for those that they're encountering out there. And so they are heroes. And so I really appreciate those stories and listening to what they have encountered during the year, and that selfless act and how they respond to that is amazing.
Our 2025 Driver of the Year, Stanley Menzel, is a 54-year driver with 6.4 million miles of no accidents or no incidents. And you know what he told us that night? Having you there and honoring him changed his life.
Wow.
It means a lot.
It was so great to meet everyone, and Stanley was so kind. He had his daughter there. You could tell that being recognized for this that has been such an important part of his life for so long meant so much. And so thrill was mine. Yeah, the thrill was mine, and it was really great to meet all those amazing people.
As you heard some of the stories for the Drivers of the Month, you heard how long they've been with each company, which is a testament to our companies treating the drivers properly, having safety foremost. What can you say to those companies that maybe don't understand how important it is to nominate those drivers, and what you see from your perspective?
For me, it was equally fun to hear from that driving company, and some of them were a little choked up talking about these drivers that have been with them, that they can depend on every single day, and for what they've done for years and years, and how they're actually fearful that, one day they will retire, and what are they going to do? So it was very moving to hear from those companies, and just as moving to see the reaction on those drivers' faces, having their family, loved ones with them, and acknowledging that. It's a very powerful moment. So there's a lot of great drivers out there. There's a lot of great companies, and just taking the time to acknowledge each other and what they're doing for this industry is really important, and it's glad to see it celebrated.
Secretary, one of the comments that the drivers say the most when I ask them what their biggest challenges out when they're out on the road, and they say it's finding a safe place to park. And I have to say, we applaud the state of Wisconsin and everything that you're doing and continue to do to get that safe parking places so that they feel like they can pull off the road, be safe, have a facility. We applaud your department for really going forefront to get those facilities up and expanded.
I am proud of the progress that we've made. I think there's been some really exciting developments. We've got some additional assistance from the federal government with funding. So the new rest area in Sparta is fantastic. I cannot believe how much bigger that is. Yeah, I think I could throw a party there and hang out for the day. The inside is beautiful, and really nice grounds, safe, extra lighting, clean bathrooms. And we are also doing some things in Manitowoc County, so that is opening up. But we know we can't stop there. We have put out a survey. We want to hear from people. What are the areas that you feel like we have the holes, so that as we're prioritizing the funding in the future, we know where it's most needed. And so appreciate that ongoing communication to let us know what we're doing, how we can be doing better. But I understand it is a priority. They need a safe place to rest. Clean facilities, and so that is definitely a priority for the department, taking care of the drivers in Wisconsin.
Secretary, we appreciate that so much, because keeping our drivers safe, and as you saw, all those companies got choked up about their drivers leaving. We do have a shortage of drivers, and the good ones, they all wanted to clone them and have them there forever, and we all would love to clone them and be up and down the road having them drive next to our family. We all get home safe, they get home safe, you get home safe, And again, we appreciate you taking the time. I know that you had a lot on your plate that day with the big storm moving in, and you still came to honor those drivers. And that meant the world to all of them and the world to us too, Secretary Boardman. We really appreciate it.
Well, they drive through a lot every day. I can certainly drive through threats of the start of a storm to celebrate them. So it was, again, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for doing our podcast, Secretary Boardman. We appreciate you so much.
Of course, the road ahead. Thank you.
Okay, that is going to do it for the March episode of the WMCA podcast, The Road Ahead. Thank you for listening in, and thank you to our amazing drivers for joining us, and Secretary Kristina Boardman from the Department of Transportation also for joining us. It was a great show. Next month, we are going to be talking Truck Driving Championship. As you know, we've got the competition coming up in May 15th and 16th at Fox Valley Tech. It should be fantastic. It'll be a big event. We're going to talk about everything and anything related to the Truck Driving Championship in April, and that episode will drop in the last Friday of April, so tune in for that. So until then, thank you for joining us. Again, thank you to our sponsor, E.H. Wolf & Sons, and we will see you next time on The Road Ahead.